are not going back to the days when blatant disdain for women and sexual assault survivors was the norm.
We can take all the guns out of our society, still not going to stop suicide.
Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao.
India's Supreme Court cited privacy concerns in striking down parts of the world's largest biometric ID system, which requires Indians to scan their fingerprints and irises to access social services. A panel ruled 4-1 to ban schools, investigators without warrants, and private companies from requiring the ID, but the court upheld it for most public services, including filing taxes. A new study found UN officials severely underestimated the number of people who died in South Sudan's civil war. Nearly 382,000 people were killed, according to the study funded by the U.S. State Department, a jump compared to a 2016 estimate that 50,000 people died. The Environmental Protection Agency placed its top official at the Office of Children's Health Protection on administrative leave without an explanation. Critics say the suspension of Dr. Ruth Etzel slows down an office that suggests policy to those more vulnerable to pollution. Since President Trump took office, more than 1,000 workers have left the EPA, and Congress cut its budget for next year by $100 million. Bill Cosby is a convicted felon who's been designated a sexually violent predator, but his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame will stay right where it is. After petitioners asked the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce to remove it, the organization said, "The stars only commemorate the recipient's professional accomplishments, and they're intended to be permanent."
Less than 24 hours before the hearing where Brett Kavanaugh is set to face accusations of sexual assault, a third accuser stepped forward today. Her name is Julie Swetnick, and in a signed declaration released today, she alleged that Brett Kavanaugh was present at drunken parties in the 1980s, where he and other boys allegedly tried to spike girls' drinks and take turns raping them. Swetnick says that she herself was the victim of a gang rape, where Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge were present. Julie Swetnick has worked for the government and had security clearances, according to the affidavit. Republicans seized on the fact that Swetnick's lawyer is Michael Avenatti. So did President Trump. He also admitted that his personal experience is affecting his view of the situation.
So I've had numerous accusations about me. They made false statements about me. People want fame, they want money. It's a con job by the Democrats. They know it.
In Washington, Democratic women held an event to insist that we take survivors' stories seriously.
Despite the best efforts of President Trump, Senator McConnell, and the Senate Judiciary Committee Republicans, we are not going back to the days when blatant disdain for women and sexual assault survivors was the norm.
What they're pushing back on is an old and pernicious idea that women who come forward to accuse men are liars. We don't actually know what happened at those early 80s house parties, but criminologists do know what false rape accusations tend to look like. First, they're rare. Between 2 and 10% of rape accusations turn out not to be true. The journalist Sandra Newman studied the National Registry of Exonerations and found that since 1989, only 52 men were exonerated of sexual assault convictions because of a false accusation. During that time, 790 people were exonerated for murder. Newman analyzed a lot of social science research in this area and found that the people who make false rape accusations tend to fall in a few categories. They are often mentally ill or have a history of fraud. Sometimes they see potential monetary gain by, for example, claiming they were raped on government property in order to sue. Or they're teens, pushed by their parents to report a sexual encounter as rape. What we know about the Kavanaugh accusers just doesn't match up with those profiles. We also know what a false accusation tends to sound like. It's usually recent. The story is usually unambiguous about the lack of consent. And the accusation tends to have outrageous details. Take the 2014 Rolling Stone story about a gang rape at UVA, later proved false. The story was lurid. The subject claimed she was thrown through a glass table, raped on top of the shards, and called it by her attackers. We spoke to Catherine Tellis, who co-authored a 2012 study that was part of Newman's analysis that looked at policing and prosecuting sexual assault in Los Angeles.
The allegations that have been put forth against Brett Kavanaugh cannot be immediately dismissed based simply on the delayed reporting. On the contrary, delayed reporting and issues surrounding memory are very common, particularly involving cases with non-strangers where there is shame or victim doubt about the veracity of the claim, and when the suspect is someone who has notoriety of some sort in society. So that adds dimensions in terms of a victim apprehension to come forward.
So in a week when everything feels extraordinary, it's worth noting that based on the evidence we have, the most extraordinary thing would be if these women were making their accusations up.
I don't believe Brett Kavanaugh is a serial rapist. There's nothing in his background, the way he's lived his life, to give legitimacy to these claims. As to Ms. Ford, I look forward to hearing from her tomorrow.
As much as Senator Lindsey Graham says he wants to hear from one of Brett Kavanaugh's accusers, it sounds like he's made up his mind. And it's not the first time Republicans have taken this awkward position.
There was an earlier case 27 years ago from which you might have thought we would have learned something. But the past couple of weeks makes it clear that we haven't learned much at all.
American attitudes towards sexual harassment have changed drastically since Anita Hill made her explosive charge against Clarence Thomas in 1991.
He talked about pornographic materials depicting individuals with large penises or large breasts involved in various sex acts.
But Republicans now seem to be pulling from the same playbook to back up Brett Kavanaugh. Manus Cooney was a Republican lawyer on the Judiciary Committee in 1991, later rising to chief counsel. He says once a confirmation reaches this level of political theater, it's really all about the optics.
With Justice Thomas's hearings, there was a desire to get to the truth, and the truth is pretty subjective. Again, it's not as if there's an oracle is going to come down or the Lord Almighty will come down and declare who is telling the truth. It's a subjective determination. It's really left to the members themselves to decide who they believe. The public sees the nominee as the person we believe they are. I think the challenge is it's about trying to humanize the person.
In 1991, Thomas categorically denied the allegations, portraying himself as the victim.
This is high-tech lynching. I cannot shake off these accusations because they play to the worst stereotypes we have about black men in this country.
In Kavanaugh's prepared opening remarks for tomorrow's hearing, he uses similar rhetoric, saying he's the victim of, quote, grotesque and obvious character assassination. Republicans tried to defend Clarence Thomas's character by attacking his accusers.
It seems to me you didn't really intend to kill him, but you might have. And that's pretty heavy. I don't care if you're a man or a woman.
And they're doing the same now, with some caveats. For one, Republicans have hired an outside female counsel to question Christine Blasey Ford, probably to avoid moments like these.
Now that you have read the FBI report, you can see that it contains no reference to any mention of Judge Thomas's private parts or sexual prowess or size.
And the hearing will be much shorter than the 2 full days senators had to question Hill and Thomas. Tomorrow, they'll have just 5 minutes each for questioning. Jeff Peck was counsel for Judiciary Committee Democrats during the Hill-Thomas drama. He thinks there's risk for both Democrats and Republicans during the hearing.
This is just a short-change process that we're looking at for tomorrow. I think if you're the nominee, you want to be confirmed in the most legitimate way possible. There are going to be doubts and clouds that hang over Judge Kavanaugh because the process was rushed now.
What do you think is the biggest concern for Democrats this time around?
I think, there's ways to question Judge Kavanaugh. It's coming across as fair and even-handed and trying to get to the truth. I would hope members don't use their 5 minutes to make a speech.
But even Cooney, the Republican, admits that the GOP faces most of the risk during tomorrow's hearing. He noted the aggressive grilling of Anita Hill damaged the party in the 1992 election.
The legacy of that hearing is a woman made an allegation of sexual harassment and was examined and taken to task by a committee of white men. And that had consequences in the ensuing election. It was the year of the woman. Dianne Feinstein got elected, Senator Mosley Braun got elected, a number of women got elected to the Senate.
That was a year out from Election Day. Now we're 6 weeks away, and polling's already shown the Republican Party is struggling with female voters. The last thing they need is to give Democrats another opportunity to argue the GOP is anti-woman.
Twice a year, Jennifer Daniels makes the rounds to the gun stores near her home in western Colorado.
And then this is a great thing you could add to your training.
Yes.
She's a volunteer with the Gun Shop Project, which recruits gun dealers to help tackle the state's high suicide rates.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna collect these with the other ones so I make sure they all get out in the right places.
Okay, cool.
What are you trying to achieve from these conversations today?
To gain more awareness. So I'm hoping that these materials, this project will prompt a conversation for somebody looking to purchase a gun that they maybe have convinced themselves that they want for protection, but really they want to use it to kill themselves.
Programs like the Gun Shop Project are now in 20 states.
I brought you more Lifeline cards.
Okay. They're part of a shift by suicide prevention groups to a more pragmatic approach to gun-based suicide.
This is what the new posters look like.
Their materials talk about the warning signs of depression and safety measures like gun locks and temporary off-site storage. But they say nothing about getting rid of guns altogether. And some of them come from an unlikely ally, the gun industry, through its trade group, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. The truth is, suicide and guns are hard to separate. More than half of all suicides are by firearm. And suicide rates are consistently highest in states with the highest availability of guns. That's why a lot of suicide prevention workers have focused on gun control as the best way to reduce suicides. But the Gun Shop Project is betting on something else, that it's more effective to work with the gun community than against it. Susan Becker helps monitor the project in Colorado.
What would happen in Mesa County if suicide prevention and gun control were the same conversation?
We wouldn't get anywhere. We wouldn't be having the conversation.
Is that uncomfortable for some people in the suicide prevention community?
I don't know. It's occasionally uncomfortable for me.
How come?
Because part of my brain says, if we did what Scotland did and got rid of firearms, we wouldn't have this problem. I'm also a realist more than anything else. And that's not a practical point of view.
It's too early to say if the practical approach works. So far, outreach projects like the one in Colorado only measure how many stores they're in. Nationwide, it's about 8,000.
You're doing good, really good, by having this stuff here and just being aware, so thank you.
Sounds good.
That means counting partners like Jerry Stamen as a win.
You never know, it only takes one. And I have had some people that have come in years ago that bought a gun and went home and unfortunately took their life, so.
Yeah.
Do you worry about that, though? That somebody might buy a firearm here and use it to kill themselves?
Do I worry about it?
Yeah.
Not very much. I mean, I have 2,500 guns in here right now. They just don't jump up off the shelf and start randomly going by schools and shooting people. When somebody settles in their mind that they want to take their life, I mean, your experts will tell you they can talk and talk and talk, but if they've settled it in their mind, it may take them 5 years, but they'll do it.
They also say, though, that if you have a gun around, it's easier, and it might be more likely that you do it on a whim rather than...
Could be. That could be. I don't know that those figures, but we can take all the guns out of our society, ban everything and take them all away. You're still not going to stop suicide, and you're not going to stop crime. You're not going to stop violence. Ain't going to happen. So.
Facciamo un tortello di zucca. Questa svastica mi è stata segnalata da un follower che mi ha detto che c'era questa oscenità. Ho scelto questo soggetto perché comunque a Zevio ho cancellato altre svastiche, perciò si crea anche una serialità per la gente che vede questo sa che sotto c'era quella cosa lì. Cibo. Beh, meglio di prima sicuramente. Mi chiamo Pierpaolo Spinazzè e in arte sono Cibo, perché amo disegnare cose da mangiare, perché il cibo è quello che ci rappresenta, quello che siamo noi anche come territorio, oppure anche il cibo che ci piace mangiare a notte fonda. Io ho sempre lavorato nel settore di ristorazione, perciò sono sempre stato a contatto con l'enogastronomia.
For the past 10 years, Spinazze has been operating as Cibo, traveling around northern Italy painting pictures of produce and Italian dishes on abandoned walls. In 2008, his friend died after a group of men beat him viciously in the street after an argument. Cibo blamed the group's connection to the far right, and 6 years ago decided to turn his art into a weapon.
Bene, io raccolgo tutti i miei schizzi su questi quaderni. Sono tutti lavori praticamente fatti questi. Caprese. Questa caprese qua è stata molto divertente. Perciò io ho fatto il murales per comporre una scritta di Casa Pound di estrema destra. Il segnale che la cucina è aperta al mondo perché il basilico viene dall'India, l'olio dalla Siria, la mozzarella italiana e il pomodoro è originario dalla Colombia.
Cibo says the hateful graffiti has always been there, but the recent rise of neo-fascism throughout the country has made his job more difficult.
Purtroppo il fascismo è stato un momento buio della nostra storia. L'ideologia, l'odio, la divisione che il fascismo promulgava li si ritrova negli stessi partiti di oggi. Io ci metto la faccia, perché comunque ci metto la faccia, proprio per questo motivo qua. Abbiamo appunto, come dicevo, abbiamo passato una guerra mondiale, milioni di morti. Sentire gente che parla di fascismo oggi li trovo dei ritardati. Dai partiti un po' più moderni che non fanno simboli ma promulgano odio e divisione, che fanno degli slogan oppure attaccano anche manifesti alle svastiche, alle celtiche, oppure tipo addirittura odio razziale, tipo bruciate i negri. Arrivato a un certo punto ho deciso di cancellarli tutti sistematicamente. Quasi quotidianamente ricevo minacce sui social o me li trovo sotto casa. Non posso andare vestito da Cibo in determinati posti, perché sennò ti pestano. Dove è segnato e dove ci sono i punti neri è già disegnato, perciò questa qua è tutta la mia area e oggi andiamo qui. Viva Dux significa Viva Duce ed è un omaggio a Mussolini. E sopra Viva Dux disegnerò una fetta di parmigiano che è un orgoglio nazionale e poi richiama la canzone Partigiano portami via, il ritornello di Bella Ciao, e perciò un inneggiare al fascismo coperto dall'antifascismo, perciò fa ridere, è simpatico, siamo noi.
Allora ritengo che la scelta del soggetto sia appropriata. In quanto rappresenta un po' l'italianità, no? La nostra gloria, il cibo, il parmigiano.
Una mattina
mi son svegliato. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao.
Io spero di essere stato di esempio per altri artisti, che anche voi nella vostra città troviate delle soluzioni per rendere la società più colorata e più umana.
E quello è il fiore del partigiano che è morto per la libertà.
Oh yeah, getting that. This one's a hit. That's disgusting.
That could mean so many things. I know that Martin's going to be loving this.
You raised me up in another language, is it?
Oh, I thought that's what it is. I kept thinking it was going to go into Wind Beneath My Wings.
Who's the chanteur in question?
This is Josh Groban.
Oh,
wow.
Like, let's be honest, that's a tune. You raised me up's a fucking tune.
It sounds like a big Disney song, you know, from like a French
like from, like-
French Disney film. Okay.
Weezer.
Welcome. Nice self-loathing lyrics, I like that. Yeah.
Sometimes it hurts to be loved. Oh, mate.
I like the guitars. The guitars are right up my street. I like the kind of trashy.
I mean, like the guitar sound and that kind of rhythm made me think of Weezer.
Yeah.
But then not when the vocal came in.
Look at the cash, bubble. Okay, you bubble. Look at the cash, bubble. Anderson Paak, Busta Rhymes.
Well, Anderson
I'm
Paak,
thinking
Busta
this
Rhymes.
is Anderson Paak, Busta Rhymes, yeah. Are we still getting away with the air horn at this point? Come on.
Can we
Come
please make them illegal?
I feel like that is the sound of like 2007 or something like that, the air horn.
It's very specific.
Do you know what I mean?
I love your percussion block.
It's Aphex.
Is it actually Aphex then? There you go.
Nailed it.
I think 99% of people that program music don't have a programming style that you can identify within like 5 seconds.
I also love that like not all of his notes are kind of concert. He like writes like microtonally as well, and you can tell things are drifting pitch-wise all over the shop. I love that.
Yep.
Well, and I feel like it's, I don't know, it gives it like humanity. I want to know that a human being has made it, you know?
Yeah. He also has a really great sense of melody as well, which I think is rare for like electronic musicians like that. It's another great thing about what he does. But yeah, I'm a super fan of that. My opinion doesn't count.
Mad
10 thumbs up.
My baby's back.
My baby's back with the music.
Yeah.
Do you have that email that you first sent to him?
I do, yeah. So I wrote, I wonder if you're forced to think about it every day like I am. I wonder if you know that it's in your power to put a stop to this for me. It's always been in your power.
How did you feel when you received that email?
Her being so honest really brought me to the table and made me realize that I need to deal with this.
This offers an opportunity for survivors to get what they actually say that they need, which is a voice.